I think that we are better now. I was having an issue with the sound. Hey, Carmen. I think that. Okay, so. All right, Yeti Mike. I don't know what happened, but hey, that's technology for you. But here we are. So if you guys, hey, Marcia, hey, Carmen, please give me a thumbs up if you can hear me okay. That would be really helpful. Hey, Hillary, great. Thank you. I was getting some really weird feedback from my Yeti, but just goes to show you always have a backup plan. So I always find that when I'm doing any kind of an event or a live course session or even a recording, that I have spare equipment nearby. So I always have my plug-in, not my remote, my plug-in Mac headset, just in case my Yetis just kind of decide they're going to have a day. Today's one of those days. So we're here. So welcome, everyone. We are streaming into our private Facebook group, Scale Your Nutrition Practice. We do these Q&A office hour and strategy calls every other week. So twice a month, you get to ask whatever questions you have. And I typically will kick off the strategy call with some type of strategy related to nutrition content. Oh, hi, Marcia. Thank you. And today's topic is going to be meal planning. Hot topic. Honestly, we could probably talk about meal planning twice a month because there is so much to talk about. But today we're going to be talking about some key strategies and principles to follow when using meal plans in your practice with clients, and really not only adding value to your practice and kind of setting your expectations around that, but also kind of how they best can serve your clients as part of an intervention. Oh, hi, Andy. Welcome. Good to see you here. So we are streaming into our private Facebook group, Scale Your Nutrition Practice. So if you are watching on YouTube or if you're catching us on LinkedIn, please do me a favor and join our private Facebook group, and you will be able to join a very active conversation there. All right, so let's kick it off with talking about meal planning strategies. Let's just show that here. There we go. And I really want to start with kind of basic principles. Now, I have been in the meal planning, the actual like software meal planning business for 5 years and used them in practice. And actually, I was using the meal plans in my practice, like as I was building the meal planning software. And the reason, another day we'll talk about that, but there are several reasons why I felt the need to build my own meal planning platform, because other platforms that I was, subscribing to for my practice, they simply weren't working for me. And so I built a platform that served my patients best. I come to dietetics with a very strong culinary background. So in addition to the 5 years of meal planning experience, I bring a strong culinary education piece. I was a culinary instructor for over 28 years. At this point, it's like 30 years now because I'm still doing culinary instruction. So I bring all of that to what I'm going to lay out as basic principles. Now, these are basic principles according to me, and we'll see, how well they resonate with you. Hey, Tina. Hey, Jenny. Good to see you guys here. So let's just start with basic principle number 1, which is, that's number 2. Let's go number 1. Screening. Oh, nope. Yes. Oh, actually, hold on one second. I've got them backwards here. I really wanted to start with this one here. Nobody follows a meal plan. I want you to raise your hand in comments if you find this to be true. Now, if for everybody who is joining us, if you're not raising your hand, I'm going to be skeptical, because if you have found a client or a patient who actually follows a meal plan long-term, that is an anomaly. And it's actually not something that we recommend in dietetics, that somebody follow a strict plan kind of as a mandate. But I'd like for you to just raise your hand if this one resonates with you. Nobody follows a meal plan, pretty much a fact across the board. But I found that in my practice. And so if nobody follows a meal plan, then why should you offer them in practice? There are a group of colleagues, like a subset of colleagues, who are like, I'm not going to create meal plans because nobody follows them anyway. But here's the thing. When it comes to private practice, you are in business. And almost always people come to you. I see a lot of hands going up. Yes, Carmen, Tina, yeah, I felt the same way. You offer these meal plans in your practice because everybody comes to you wanting a meal plan. Now, people come to you wanting a meal plan because they think it's going to solve their problem of quote unquote not knowing what to eat. A lot of people believe that if they, this is a lot of kind of diet culture coming in, they believe if they just eat this way, then this will happen. If I can just follow a meal plan, then I can lower my cholesterol or control my hypertension or lose weight. It's kind of like programming, right? So they come to you wanting a meal plan because they think it's going to solve their problem, which we know it might be part of the solution, but a meal plan is never on its own going to help a client meet their health goals. Would you guys agree? Hey, Lauren. Yes, Lauren's raising her hand as well. So nobody follows a meal plan. Why should you offer them? You offer them because it's good business. That's why people are going to come to you expecting a meal plan. Now, if you're a dietitian, a health coach, or a healthcare professional who offers nutrition services kind of as part of interdisciplinary care, people are going to expect a meal plan. So if you just say, I don't do meal plans, they're going to find somebody else who does, because people do come, pretty passionately in the door and into the counseling chair with like, give me a meal plan. Like, okay. The first question you should ask them is, why do you think you need a meal plan? I want you to try that. Hey, Marcia, I want you to try that in your next counseling session. When somebody says, give me a meal plan, or I need a meal plan. Well, why do you think you need a meal plan? Well, because I don't know what to eat. I'm not confident in the kitchen. They're going to start rattling off to you barriers that are preventing them from changing their health behavior. Right? I just don't know what to eat. Well, if I gave you a list of foods and a meal plan, and you're not going to ask that question, but you're thinking, if I give them a list of foods, would that help? Well, yes, part of the solution, but it's not going to address all of the other barriers. So yes, we have to address knowledge. We have to address access. We have to address culinary skill level and culinary confidence. We also have to assess time. Like, what kind of people are operating at like significant time deficits? Like, how much time do you have in the kitchen? If I give you a 7-day meal plan, which we're going to talk about today, if I give you a 7-day meal plan, like who has time to like cook, 3 meals a day and 2 snacks every day of the week? Like, nobody, like, that's for sure. So if nobody follows a meal plan, the reason why you'd want to offer it is that it just makes good business sense. It gets people in the door and it makes you more competitive. But then once you have people in front of you, you really need to do a complete assessment of whether a meal plan, and then consider, is a meal plan appropriate or isn't it? And if it is, what kind of a meal plan? And it just kind of all feeds into that overall intervention. It's never just about the meal plans. Also, I'll add, if nobody follows a meal plan, like, why are we spending tons and tons of time creating meal plans? And that actually hits the real pain point for most of our colleagues, which is that it does take a really long time to curate like a meal plan for every single patient. So trying to find a scalable solution that still offers, patient-centered care, I think is really important. And that's why I built my own meal planning platform. Hi, Diana, welcome. So it sounds like most of you agree with me that nobody follows a meal plan. Okay, so that's a basic principle that you kind of have to bring to this conversation. Second, screening out recipes removes teaching moments. Boy, do I feel passionate about this. So I'm going to try not to yell. My husband tells me when I get excited, I come off as yelling. I'm not yelling, but I am passionate about this. I have been asked more times about why our meal planner doesn't allow practitioners to screen out recipes or to have clients screen out recipes. Because when you screen out recipes, you are screening out teaching moments. We're going to talk a little bit today about these absolute, I'm doing air quotes, but like these absolute meal plans where you're delivering a plan to a client that exactly matches their need. In principle, that sounds great. In practice, it's a terrible idea because you are screening out every possible teaching moment you could be delivering to that client. Now, you can select like proactively, like do Go Foods. You can proactively select recipes, or you can use our screening tool that will show you recipes that meet certain requirements. But applying a data set to a meal plan and saying, I want you to eliminate all salmon recipes because my client doesn't like salmon. Well, maybe their kids like salmon. Maybe their partners like salmon. Like, this person isn't just cooking for themselves. they're probably cooking for more than one person. So why would you deliver an absolute meal plan just for one person? Now, there are certain like elimination diets where that might be appropriate, but that is very, very short term. We're really just talking about curating meal plans that are spaces to have a lovely conversation around food and not create this kind of absolute, situation, this absolute meal plan. So principle number 2 is that screening out recipes removes teaching moments. When you aren't screening out recipes, what you need to offer is like a space to adjust them, right? So you're creating this space to teach and to learn and have this conversation. So let's say on the meal plan, there is a sheet pan dinner for salmon, and your client doesn't like salmon, or maybe your client is allergic to salmon or fish, right? Looks like, I hope my Wi-Fi isn't conking out now. There we go. Hi, Betsy. Good to see you here. Let's say that they don't like salmon, right? And salmon is on the meal plan. Well, on our meal planner, they can remove that recipe and find something else, or better, they can edit the recipe. Just add chicken, right? And adjust the cooking time. That is part of the learning process, because if they're going out into the world and eventually going to be meal planning for themselves, it's not an absolute world, right? They're never going to be delivered, food to them that exactly matches their nutrition prescription long time. Good to see you here, Betsy. Okay, so principle number 1, nobody follows a meal plan. I think most of us agree to that. Number 2, screening out recipes removes teaching moments. Now, when you're not screening out recipes and kind of using data sets to do that, it does represent a little bit more work on your end on the front, but then the work should then be passed along to the patient or the client. Then they also have access to a space where they can edit recipes or delete and just search for a new one, or make the salmon for the rest of the family, and then they can, make a different version for themselves. All right, number 3, computer algorithms create lousy meal plans. True. I've done it. I have yet. And now with AI, it's like, oh my gosh, everybody's in the meal planning business now. I actually just saw an ad. I'm sorry, whoever did this ad, it was not good. But it was just like this ad saying that, basically this person is going to rescue us from ever having to do meal plans, because they created an app based on AI, right? You just tell AI what you want and it creates this meal plan, and you'll never have to create a meal plan from scratch again. Well, that's true if you want to offer lousy meal plans. Computers, they're not at the point yet, maybe they will be one day, where they can think like a human, and really consider the eating experience, not just the carbs, proteins, and fats. So frequently asked question of Living CladeRx meal plans is, can I create a meal plan that fits certain macronutrient guidelines? Like, can I plug into carbs, fat, protein, calories, and boom, a meal plan is created for me? You can do that, but not on my platform, because it creates notoriously lousy meal plans, because it will get the numbers right. Algorithms, they spend a lot of time and money trying to get these algorithms right. They will get the data right almost always, right? The carbs, protein, fat, calories, but the eating experience is not so great, right? And if the eating experience is not so great, then your clients are not going to be able to sustain this longer term. So hi, good to see you. Hi, Jasmine, good to see you here. Jennifer is saying that's a really good point. Love that. Yeah, I'm sorry, Jennifer, I don't know what point that was, but yeah. So nobody follows a meal plan. Screening out recipes removes teaching moments. And then we are talking now about computer algorithms creating lousy meal plans. I have yet to meet a computer algorithm that creates a really nice eating experience. Now, in our platform, we deliver to you pre-curated meal plans by nutrition prescription that have human eyeballs on them. They have culinary eyeballs on them, and they have nutrition expert eyeballs on them. So we curate these templates that address a variety of nutrition prescriptions and meet a variety of kind of macronutrient mixes. Now, you might look at those templates. There are many. You might look at those templates and say, well, my population kind of fits that template, but not really. I want to create a kind of a unique meal plan. Can I do that? 100%. And that's why we have signature meal plans, where you will draw on a template that most closely matches your population's needs. Now, when I say population, you probably serve maybe 4 pillars of people. Even if you're really far niched down, you probably have a variety of populations that you serve. You create a signature plan for each one of those populations, and then you can customize it at the client level. But you never want to create a meal plan like for every client. That is not sustainable. And that's kind of what we had been doing 6, 7, 8 years ago. And that's why computer algorithms, everybody thought they were going to be the answer that every nutrition professional needed. Just punch in the data and I will, get a meal plan that, that'll be great. And they're not great. So we have a question from Jennifer. How screening, okay. Jennifer is saying it was a great point about how screening can remove those teaching moments. And it's true. Like, I'm a teacher at heart. I offer meal planning services in my practice and now through other nutrition professionals, because I truly want the communities of all of our members to be able to stand on their own with meal planning. And if every time your goal is to provide a meal plan that is absolute and exactly matches that one client's preferences and allergies and carbs and protein and fat, like, they're not going to learn anything, and it's simply not sustainable. So why waste all of that time, right? Just create this space that's somewhat flexible and have your clients not take it so seriously, right? Like, you don't have to follow breakfast, lunch, snack, dinner. Just let's set some weekly goals and start getting comfortable. And really the idea is to create a repertoire rather than, again, generating these meal plans over and over with computer algorithms. All right. Next principle, tracking intake from a meal plan is nuts. Honestly, it hurts my heart to think that there are practitioners out there who are issuing meal plans and then asking patients to track their intake on that meal plan. It creates so much anxiety in me. You can probably see it in my face now. It creates so much anxiety in me to think that poor client, that poor patient. Like, do you guys agree? Give me a thumbs up if you agree with that. Like, even if one of our meal plans, which is totally flexible, right? Like, get a reasonable meal plan that has reasonable expectations and then log your intake. And we've actually gotten questions about that. Like, can we log intake, from the meal planner? Like, no, and you shouldn't. That makes absolutely no sense to me. So Marcia is giving me a thumbs up. Yeah, and Hillary too. Yeah, I can't get behind that. That is just putting way too much pressure on a client. And remember principle number 1, nobody follows a meal plan. Well, if nobody follows a meal plan, then exactly, right, long term, then why on earth would you ask them to log their intake based on a meal plan, right? So Marcia's saying she used to do that. Hey, Marcia, did it work? Please share your experience with us, Marcia, because you're sharing that because something is getting stirred up inside of you now. So if you want to share with us, Marcia is saying that she used to do that with meal plans, having patients track their intake. I'd love to hear from you, Marcia. What was that like, kind of as the practitioner? If you are seeing these meal plans as a resource, that is just part of an overall intervention. A meal plan is never an intervention. It is part of the intervention that you craft based on somebody's assessment and diagnosis, right? That is evidence-based nutrition practice. So you want to offer it as a resource, not as a mandate, not as, a diet tracking tool. Just, again, I just can't even, I don't want to talk about it anymore because it upsets me. So if you have these expectations that clients are going to be logging their intake based on meal plan, I'm begging you, please stop. Marcia's saying she stopped because she got burned out. Yeah, I mean, that makes sense, right? If you are potentially putting unrealistic expectations on patients and they're struggling, like, you're just going to hit a wall with the counseling process. Jennifer is saying, I used to do that too, starting out, and it didn't work. Clients got stressed and overwhelmed. Clients are coming to you for a safe space. They're coming to you to help them and to rescue them. And I'm using that word rescue because I was just proofing the podcast that I did with Wintana, which I'll share with you at the end of this Q&A. But they're coming to you, again, for you to rescue them, not to give them more stress and more burden. Say, here's a meal plan, log your intake. No, don't do that. All right. So enough on that. Don't track intake from a meal plan, even if your EHR is offering that. I think it's a terrible idea as a practitioner. Okay. Next, a PDF meal plan is not a long-term solution. True. I used to use software that generated a PDF meal plan, and it was so great for about 2 weeks. And then clients would come back and say, okay, I need another one. I need another one. I need another one, because I ran out of those resources, or it wasn't suiting me. And I was like constantly creating PDF meal plans. PDF meal plans can serve a purpose. And that's why inside of our software, you can generate a PDF meal plan, because they can be useful pretty much as marketing tools. They can also be useful for those who don't want a digital experience. And so you still have a digital meal planner that you can manipulate. But if a client wants it printed, you can easily generate a PDF. But only offering those kind of PDF static meal plans, generally speaking, doesn't work in practice long term. You really need a digital kind of customizable space, again, to have this conversation around food. Like if you're having the conversation and you're trying to teach somebody how to meal plan, it's not super helpful to have a plan that's static. It's really only helpful if you have this space. Hi, Kristen. Good to see you here. I haven't seen you in a while. Okay. All right, so that was it. Let's just review those principles real quick again. Number one, nobody follows a meal plan, right? We've all decided that that is true. Number two, screening out recipes removes teaching moments. So resist the urge to create an absolute meal plan that exactly matches your patient's preferences. You're going to do like an intake and assessment, right? And they're going to tell you, I don't like salmon. Okay, well, what I can do is I can put salmon down as something that you don't prefer in your meal plan. And every time it appears on your meal plan, you'll get a little alert. That you can do. But I'm not going to screen out the recipe. You can either replace the recipe or you can change out that main protein, right? Same goes for like nut allergies and other intolerances and allergies. Number three, computer algorithms create lousy meal plans. If you are just looking to check the box and say, I offer meal plans, and you really don't want to be involved in the process or incorporating them into interventions, then maybe that type of software would work for you, where you punch in carbs, proteins, fats, calories, and a computer spits out a meal plan. I can almost promise you that it's not going to have high level of client satisfaction, but you can give it a go. All right. And then this is one I feel most passionately about, this principle that tracking intake from a meal plan is nuts. Please don't expect your patients to do that. And then lastly, a PDF meal plan is not a long-term solution. Anybody have any thoughts or want to share anything about those basic principles that we just talked about? I did an Instagram post on these kind of principles of mine that I wanted to share. And it was very well received. There are a lot of people agreeing with you. I asked everybody to chime in, like, what principle do you agree with more or less? And across the board, we were in agreement about most of these principles. Okay, so let's now move on to some questions that come in that we can draw on these principles to answer. Questions come in frequently about, how do I decide which meal plan to offer a patient? You are going to be conducting an assessment and generating a nutrition related diagnosis, right? Usually intake related, that's our job. A diagnosis of, or sometimes if you work as part of an interdisciplinary team, maybe that patient is coming to you with a clinical diagnosis, let's say hypertension. How do you decide which meal plan that you want to offer them? First, you want to refer to our meal plan guide. Inside of the meal plan masterclass, there is a guide to our meal plan protocols, all of the templates that you have access to. And you're going to want to pick a base plan for that patient that is as close as possible to helping them achieve the outcome that they desire. Now, with hypertension, right, sodium is always a concern. All of our plans are appropriate because all of our plans are below, meet recommended with sodium higher limit, right? So the higher intake of sodium. So they meet those daily limits. So you really can choose anything, but let's say like high cholesterol too. You can go into pretty much any of our meal plans and start reducing some saturated fat. If you'd like, you can increase the plants, but I think pretty much most of them would be appropriate too. The key here is to consider first, where is your patient starting, and not trying to go to kind of like the ultimate scenario. If I had a patient come into me with high cholesterol and they were eating processed food pretty regularly as part of their diet, putting them on an anti-inflammatory, like, or not putting them on, that's terrible, terrible framing, right? Offering them the resource of an anti-inflammatory plan is probably not going to land real well, because that's very, very low glycemic index. And it doesn't have things like, it doesn't have a lot of grains or beans or legumes. And so maybe that's not the way to go. Maybe it's the flex plan. So think about the first step that client or that patient might be able to take that could get them a quick win, without doing a 180-degree pivot, right? You don't want to put that kind of stress on a patient. So consider where they are, and then make the decision once you refer to the guide about what is going to be your base plan. Based on the conversation that we just already had, remember, you don't want to deliver them kind of an absolute plan. You just want to give them a space that more or less meets their requirements, right? Calories, macros, and helps them achieve their health goal, and then have them, customize it, or you can work it too. But you want to avoid as much as possible customizing at the patient level. You really want to say, oh, okay, well, I have these 4 signature plans. I serve many people who come to me with hypercholesterolemia. So maybe this signature plan is going to be best for this patient. And then you can do very little customization at the client level. Is that making sense? Just type in "makes sense" if that is making sense, right? So how do I decide which meal plan to offer a patient? In summary, consider where the patient is first. And then secondly, you're going to want to pick a protocol that most closely aligns with their nutrition prescription. Marcia is saying, great resources. My population is allergies, intolerances, and sensitivities, special needs, very specialized and stressful. Yeah, so Marcia, that, when you're dealing with allergies, intolerances, and sensitivities, is it a short-term sensitivity? Is it a long-term? So that is quite complex, what Marcia is bringing up here in the chat, that if somebody has an allergy and it's temporary, you can do an elimination diet, or same with intolerances and sensitivities. If it is a lifelong allergy, let's say they're allergic to tree nuts, you don't have to screen out all the tree nuts inside of the planner. You need to provide them as part of the intervention with some information and knowledge about what are alternatives to tree nuts. For example, sunflower seeds or pumpkin seeds. And then you instruct them whenever you see walnuts. Now you can set an alert, Marcia, on their meal planner that says this recipe has walnuts. Just because a recipe has walnuts does not mean your client's going to eat that recipe, right? And so you can share that with them. Like, I am delivering you a meal plan that will likely have tree nuts on it, but I'll set an alert so that you can know which recipes those are. And then you, patient, client, can make the decision on whether you want to change it based on the education that I've just provided you. Maybe you want to replace those walnuts with hemp seeds or pumpkin seeds, or just replace the recipe. So we try and make it as easy as possible for you, Marcia, because that's a tough niche, right? Especially for meal planning. Maybe you want to curate some PDF booklets. This is where PDFs come in really handy, Marcia. PDF booklets that provide just like a head start. Like, here are 3 breakfasts, 3 lunch, 3 dinners, a couple of snacks that are tree nut free, for example. And then also for, intolerances and sensitivities, sometimes those are elimination diets. So you can curate a plan that is more absolute, but it's only a static plan for like 2 weeks. You don't want to offer that long-term, because eventually they're going to transition to a more liberalized diet. That would be the objective. Kristen is asking about an opinion of tracking progress. Do you ever recommend tracking intake? Like calories, it depends. It depends on what their health goals are. If they are looking to put on muscle, maybe you do want to track their protein intake, but it wouldn't be like tracking from an entire meal planner saying breakfast, lunch, snack, and dinner. So sometimes tracking is appropriate. Sometimes, especially if somebody's been touched by an eating disorder, you definitely don't want to use tracking. So I'm not totally anti-tracking, Kristen. I am anti-tracking from a meal plan. Giving somebody a meal plan and saying, hey, click here and start telling me what you made and ate off of that meal plan, because I don't think that that's reasonable expectations. And it is just my opinion, Kristen. I think that tracking has its place and it can be appropriate, especially for those dietitians who specialize in macronutrient composition to meet certain health goals. or even just like calorie intake. Sometimes that can help, but it's more helpful to offer the patient a meal plan to say, this is generally speaking what less than 2,000 calories looks like. This is a 1,700 calorie meal plan. This is what it looks like. So let's talk about, how you can start adopting some of these snacks, because maybe the snacks is where they've been struggling with when they're at the office and they're eating office food. What kind of snacks can you bring into the office that can help you meet your health goals? So that's my opinion, Chris. Take that for what it's worth. Carmen is saying, how do you set an alert? Oh, Carmen, you want to see? How about I show you? So Carmen wants to know how you set an alert for a client. So let me share my screen with you. Okay, I'm going to share my screen. And here we are. Okay, we are in the meal planner now. And I'm going to take myself off the screen so it's nice and big. All right. So Carmen is asking, how do you set an alert? Now, this is a signature meal plan that I was creating, but let me go back to my demo account. This is my demo dashboard. Let's visit a client here. And this is where you set an alert at the client level, Carmen. So here is my demo client, Jeannie. Let's click on her account. And you can see over here, you have a food preference category. I'm just going to, so here's her meal plan. The nutrition facts I can hide, or I can set that to show nutrition facts. So you have that option there too. And then the food preferences, I'm going to click change here. And you can see I already have some things. I'm going to add tree nuts kind of as a general category. Now you need to input what those clients' preferences are or what their allergies are. Recognize that if it's milk or if it's dairy, you can't just type in dairy. This is ingredient specific. So you'll want to add things like cheese, yogurt. If you add milk, almond milk and soy milk are also going to show. So just select your words carefully. So you can see that I've set quite a few alerts here. So I've added that to Jeannie. So now let's go back to clients and we'll take a look at Jeannie's meal plan. And you can see that the alert has been set now. So maybe I'm allergic to eggs, right? One of my allergies is eggs. So this recipe I can either make with or without eggs. Maybe I can use a vegan alternative to make this recipe, or maybe I'm just going to delete it and find something else. Maybe I want to find, like an oatmeal recipe. We'll delete the bread and we'll do maybe a simple overnight oats. So now I've dropped that in. And this is, by the way, this is 3X4 Genetics methylation pathway plan that we set with our partner. For any of you who have questions about that. Okay, so set the alerts and they will show on the plan, right? And if you hover over the alert, it'll tell you which food preferences alert are on that recipe. So this one has almonds and milk. This one has salmon in it. This one has milk, right? So you can just see how that is almonds. Now this one is easy enough, right? So this here just has almonds with a grapefruit mint salad, really great snack. I'll probably just delete the almonds and let's just search pumpkin seeds. And we have pumpkin seeds here. We can just click and drag just plain pumpkin seeds into that snack or something else, some other healthy fat. But again, this is what I'm talking about, teaching moments. They know that they're allergic to almonds, but what other healthy fats can they include? Maybe they have an allergy to peanut butter. So we can replace an allergy to peanuts, but not almonds. Or maybe they have an allergy to all tree nuts and peanuts, and we have to use like a soy nut butter. That's a conversation that you have here. Was that helpful, Carmen? Carmen, let me know if that was helpful. Okay, let's just come back to hello here. I love doing screen shares, so ask me if you guys want to see anything. Okay, terrific. So Marcia was also making another comment about creating kind of meal plans that are free of allergens. She's noting that she works in pediatrics and that the parents are really stressed. That one child who is living in a house, that's very stressful for the parent, right? We need to have the house completely egg-free. Well, if the house has to be completely egg-free, then the meal plan, they can make the meal plan completely egg-free. That doesn't have to be on you. You can set the alert on the meal planner to say any recipe that has eggs in it will appear. We can talk about what recipes you can make without eggs, or we can just find recipes that don't have eggs. So again, it just creates a space to have a teaching moment. You could also, Marcia, create, this is another great way to use a PDF meal plan, just some suggested, like a booklet of some suggested recipes to get them going. You don't actually need thousands of recipes to live a healthy lifestyle. Most of us create a repertoire and we set it on repeat, right? And that's kind of what the parents of your patients are probably looking for. Just give me 6 dinners that I can make that are completely egg-free, or 6 breakfasts that I can make that are completely egg-free. So you can click and drag those into their planner, and then also make sure that you set the alert so that if they do search the greater database, Marcia, they'll be able to see what has eggs and what doesn't. Okay, Kristen is saying that this is making much more sense. Perfect. Hillary is saying, as a mom with a daughter born with severe allergies, I understand where the parents are coming from. It's very stressful and anxiety can be off the charts. Yes, agreed. So you want, while they might be looking for a meal plan, again, that is an absolute, that is free of this allergen, because it's fear, that fear is a barrier, and you're never going to overcome that fear of them being able to navigate foods and recipes unless you do it with them. So make it a teaching moment, take them into the meal planner, and create the safe space being those alerts. All right, great. Oh, Marcia said that was so helpful. Good, I'm glad, Marcia. Okay, here's another question we get a ton. How many days should a meal plan be for? Before I answer this question, I want to hear from you guys. I want you to type in a number. Do you think the best meal plan for patients is like 3-day, 4-day, 5-day? Well, let's just say 4-day, 5-day, or 7-day. What do you think would be best for your patients and to support behavior change as part of your interventions? A 4-day plan, 3 and 4-day about the same, right? So 4-day plan, 5-day plan, or 7-day. I want you to just type in a number. What do you prefer and what do you like? So Kristen is the first to answer 4. Kristen, I want you to tell me why. Why 4 days and not 7 days? Because wouldn't a patient want 7 days worth of meals? That seems like much higher value. So why wouldn't you deliver a 7-day plan, Kristen? I want you to tell me. Why wouldn't you create a 7-day plan? Marcia is thinking 7 days. All right, we're going to talk about that. Tracy is saying 5 to include a weekend example. That's great. That's great, Tracy. Kristen is saying 7 is overwhelming for most. Mandy is saying 5. Great. All right, so I'm going to share with you my experience as a culinary instructor and as a meal planning software developer. Jennifer is saying 7 because of the weekends. Carmen is saying 3 to 5 days. So great, we're all over the place. So let's talk about that. It's not that any one meal plan is a wrong choice for a patient, but here's what I've learned. A 5 to 7 day meal plan overwhelms patients, especially those who lack culinary confidence, which is most, If you guys listen to my Jersey accent. If you don't offer a culinary kind of skills assessment, I strongly encourage you to do that. And it could be something as simple as just assessing somebody's culinary confidence around a certain thing. I wouldn't ask, generally speaking, like on a scale of 1 to 10, what is your culinary confidence? Like, get really specific. Like, what is your confidence, your culinary confidence with being able to make overnight oats on a scale of 1 to 10? Now, if somebody answers, I don't know, maybe a 5, well, the next question is, why a 5 and not a 10? We're going to get to the days of the meal plan, but this is important because you need to assess somebody's culinary confidence, right? So if you ask somebody why a 5 and not a 10, the barriers are going to start coming out again. Oh, I don't have the time. Now overnight oats, that was a terrible example. Let's just say like a sheet pan dinner. How confident are you, patient, that you can make this sheet pan dinner on your meal planner? They can take a look at it in your office and be like, well, I don't know, maybe a 4, maybe a 5. Okay, well, why a 4 and a 5 and not a 10? The barriers are going to come up, and most likely they're going to be surrounding lack of time and lack of confidence and skill in the kitchen. If you have somebody who comes in, they're like a 10, like I am confident with making all of these recipes, then maybe a 4 or 5 day meal plan makes sense. If you take a look at a 7-day meal plan, it's a lot. Can I show you one? Let me show you one. I'm going to show you what a 7-day meal plan looks like. It's a lot and it's scary. It's scary even for me. And I cook pretty much every day. Let's take a look. We do have a 7-day meal plan, but only because some members in our community require it. They ask for it. So, I want to keep everybody happy, so I offer it. Let me just go to meal plans here, but I don't recommend it. All right, this 28-day refresh. Let's take a look at what a 7-day meal plan looks like. Here we go. All right, so can you imagine, as a person with low culinary confidence, being delivered this by your practitioner? Okay, I think it's overwhelming. And that's what I was told. Because look, I am no different than anybody else. I wanted to offer as much value and as many resources to my patients as possible. And the feedback always was like, they were shocked. They were like, I can't do that. Right. And the second they're thinking they can't do that, it becomes defeating. And that, you don't want the meal plan to be defeating. What you want is the meal plan to have enough open space that they can actually get their heads around it, and also enough open space to customize. Marcia is saying she would include leftovers in that. Very important, Marcia. Yeah, that's a good point, right? So here, there are some leftovers in here, but still, it's just like, it's a lot, right? Let's take a look. We'll just do a preview of one of the other plans. Let's do, let's see here. Let's do one of the mealtime method plans, because those are, I think those are 4-day. Yeah, this is my favorite kind of meal plan. And again, just in practice, no, wait, let me share the screen. Okay, sorry. All right, just kind of knowing how clients were reacting. This is a lot more open space. I actually include leftovers. And then you know what? If they want to fill it up, let them fill it up. They can search and click and drag however many recipes they want in here, but get them just to a place where they think, oh, I can do this. And really, my strong recommendation with any meal plan, whether it's 3, 4, or 5-day, and you can see this one does have a weekend represented, like a Sunday. That's why I love, for those of you who said you'd like to include a weekend, because sometimes we eat on the weekends a little bit differently. We'll have pancakes and just waffles, things that are a little bit more, time intensive. This does include a Sunday, right? Because our meal plan goes Monday to Sunday. So offering them this 4-day plan just gives them the space to say, okay, like this, I think I can do. But I would even take it one step further in the counseling session to say, what are we going to focus on? If during the counseling session, it's dinners, like dinners were always a big thing for my clients, because most of my clients were working, and I actually never had a client who wasn't busy. It didn't matter whether they had 3 jobs or they were a stay-at-home parent. Everybody's busy, right? So dinners seemed to be like a sticking point for some people. So I would say in the counseling session, okay, let's try the avocado lime salmon and maybe the meatloaf. How does that sound? Is this something that seems reasonable for you based on, kind of your week? And they say, yes, that's the goal. There's always got to be a culinary goal associated with the meal plan. Again, starts with that culinary assessment, kind of where they're at, and then considering what they're struggling with, just pick a couple of things. That worked great. One of the tools that I really loved when using these 4-day meal plans was picking maybe 2 or 3 recipes, and then the patient saying they commit to that. Sounds like you're ready to, start creating some healthy breakfasts regularly. Let's pick 3. And then you can do photo journaling instead of tracking your intake. Do a photo journal and show me, the success that you were having with these meal plans, not with the meal plans, with the recipes that we picked from your meal planner. I used Healthy when I was in practice, and it was fantastic. Every time I opened up my computer, I could see pictures of clients having success or not in the kitchen. And again, just cultivating that conversation around food. So to answer the question, how many days should a meal plan be? There's no right answer. My opinion is that 4 is optimal, because 4 allows you to include that weekend meal. And then there's plenty of spaces for leftovers. Okay. Perfect. Let's move on to our next question that we get is, when should I issue a customizable versus a static meal plan? This is a great question, and we actually alluded to that a little bit already. Really, the static meal plan that is available on our meal planner, let me show you what that looks like, right? When you issue, let's go back here. When you go to the clients tab and you issue the client a meal plan, say new client here, you just type in their information, really very easy to do. You actually can select the planner type before you even, address a meal plan, before you even assign a meal plan. You have the choice of having it be customizable or static. Almost always, 99% of the time, it should be customizable because you want the patient to be, see, you're seeing that, yeah. You want the patient to be able to customize the meal plan. If you issue them an anti-inflammatory diet, it is a protected kind of search space. They're only going to be able to search for recipes that fit inside that nutrition prescription. Again, the definition is in your meal plan masterclass, so you'll learn about that. If you issue static, they're not going to be able to search or change anything. They can generate a grocery list, they can scale recipes, but they can't change anything. When would this be appropriate? Sometimes in a clinical setting, we have clinical partners who like to issue static meal plans because they're just temporary solutions until that outpatient can get in front of a registered dietitian, or somebody's doing an elimination diet. And then when they're done, you can switch them back to customizable. An elimination diet is temporary always. You're never on an elimination diet long-term. So if somebody is doing an elimination diet to explore, eliminating some foods that maybe they think they're sensitive to, or testing indicates that they're sensitive to, it's going to be maybe 2, maybe 4 weeks. Even for a low FODMAP elimination diet, maybe 4 weeks. And then based on those results, you're going to start to liberalize the diet. So if you want to keep somebody inside of a very tight nutrition prescription, which is rare, but it does happen, that's when you'd want to use a static meal plan. Aside from that, you're going to be issuing custom meal plans. Okay, next question. Should I customize my patient plans? I love this question because the answer is yes and no. In practice, it was always really nice to get patients started. They're sitting down. Sometimes the initial assessment was an hour and a half or 2 hours. You get to know a lot about that patient, a lot about that client, and understanding what their preferences are, what their time allows. So after that first assessment, the counseling session, you can issue a meal plan and then customize it a bit. But my feeling is that eventually you want that patient to do it themselves, right? You want to teach them how to fish. You don't want to constantly be doing it. So the answer is long-term, no, you don't want to be customizing at the client level. You eventually want the client to be able to navigate the meal planner. I had some of the best moments were when clients would come into me and be like, you know what, I'm good. I've got my repertoire of recipes. I am humming. Most of them did continue to subscribe to the meal plans just so that they could have access. And then some would pause it. They're like, I'm going to sit with this repertoire that I have for myself because it's working. I like it. My family is adjusting really nicely and I'm good to go. That was great news, right? When they didn't need me to customize those meal plans anymore. But initially you might want to, maybe for the first week, you'll customize it. The second week, you can say, look, I'll customize some of the dinners, but I want you to try customizing for your breakfast and snacks. When patients customize the meal plan, you will see it inside of your LivingPlateRx dashboard. So you're really working together as a team. Give me a thumbs up if you guys are, again, Jersey accent, sorry. If you all are all for teaching people how to meal plan for themselves, right? Just give me a thumbs up if meal planning, autonomous meal planning is part of the objective. For me, that is always part of the solution for my patients, like autonomous meal planning. You should not need me at a certain point. Yep, thumbs up all around. Perfect. Okay. Let's scroll down here. All right. Wow. I think that's it. We have come to the end of our FAQ session. Are there any other questions, or is there anything else that you would like to see? While you think of your questions, if you have any, I'm actually going to, let me log into the library. I want to show you where you can find that meal plan. There we go. Where you can find that meal plan guide. All right, here we are. So now we're inside of the library. And if you go, we have the front desk where you can just come and meet me and say hello. We have the library masterclass, and then we have the meal planner masterclass. You can open up that, and you will see here to the left in the menu, there's a quick reference guide to pre-populated meal plans. I'm going to open that up, And here it is. It's not editable because you don't need to edit it. All of the content that's in our library is editable for you in practice, but this is a guide just for your eyes only. So you just download that. Here, I'll download it here and see if we can open that up. Perfect. I'll open that up and we'll see if we can, there we go. And here is your guide. Okay. So you just scroll down. I give you, reviewing some of the principles that we talked about today. And then every meal plan, we kind of give you the prescription, as many details as we can for that. Okay, terrific. Okay, some other things that I want to share with you. Our upcoming library launch. I've just been kind of trickling this out. No big, huge announcement yet because that is coming with the date of the launch. We are going to be doing a reveal of our new software at today's Dietitian Symposium in May. So May 19th, on or about that day, we are going to start rolling out the new Living Plate RX platform. Now, the Living Plate RX platform, as it is right now, consists of two pieces: your library of content, so all of the content that you need all the nutrition content that you need for your practice, and then we have the meal planning software. They're separate. The new platform is bringing them all together. So it will be single sign-on. You'll log into Living Plate RX. You'll be brought to your library. Everything will be there. And when I say everything, all, like the link to the meal planner will be there. So you'll be able to view the meal planner just like we did today. But you're going to be doing it within one space. You'll have access to all the same things in the library, much better navigation tools. So you'll be able to search. You can search for tags. It's going to be a really great experience for you. And then also all of your learning opportunities are going to be there as well. The training that we always provide to you. And then also the CEU opportunities for our registered dietitians. Those are being provided by Today's Dietitian, our operating partner, and that will all be there as well. Oh, Jennifer is saying, yes. Perfect. Okay, terrific. And we have some questions that did come in. So I'm going to pause here to answer these questions. Kristen is asking, when you create a signature meal plan based on the Flex plan, do new recipes get added to it when they are added to the Flex? Yes. Yes. So Kristen, when we add new recipes to the database for Flex, they will appear there. And then you can click and drag them into your signature plan. When you make a change on your signature plan, so the signature plan for Flex is 6 weeks rotating. So you have weeks 1 through 6, and on week 7, week 1 will appear again. When I make changes to that Flex plan, to the meal planner, that's not going to change your signature plan because that signature plan is intended to be your customized plan. But you can always search for those new recipes and click and add them to the plan. So if you wanted to do a plan, like a signature planner refresh, Kristen, you can refer to, and we are updating the plans too this season. And I'll announce that. You can take a look at the plans and then click and drag in those new recipes. I would do that anyway. Every month we offer new recipes, new cooking videos, and we let you guys know. You can just click and drag those into your signature planner, and then that will repeat. So let's say you do 1 through 6, and then you're like, I want to refresh that 6-week cycle. So when you edit week 7, then that will perpetuate moving forward. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense, Kristen. If you want like a private demo of how to make that happen, let me know. We can cover that for you. We can do it in the Facebook group. Carmen is asking a question. Can you point me in the direction of how to really dig in and use the workshop? Was there a live done on how to use this information? Yes, Carmen. So there's a lot of different learning experiences inside of the library. Let's go ahead and open that up. I'll show you where you should go. And I will note, Carmen, and everybody who is joining us. Hey, Cambria, welcome. Everybody who is joining us, if you have a VA, let me just share this screen again. I just closed it. Sorry. Okay. I'm going to share my screen here again. If you have a VA, I would strongly encourage that you give them access to the trainings that we have inside of the library, the Meal Planner Masterclass, the Library Masterclass, Carmen. So this is where I would start. And then we have 2 pieces of training that could be really helpful. Nutrition Content Creation Academy, that's like a course. That is substantial. And it takes you through content marketing and branding for your practice, social media, education and marketing content, and digital nutrition course creation. And Carmen, this is all like how to. This is exactly, excuse me, this is exactly how to use the links inside of your library to generate content for your practice. But you could also grant access to your VA to that. And then here's another one. It's a little bit shorter, Carmen. You could start here for sure. It's called Elevate Your Practice. What we've done is we've taken a content bundle and again, provided you with a lot of how-tos. The event recording is here in the introduction. Let me just click on that and you'll be able to watch the workshop. This workshop was an hour and 15 minutes. So Carmen, you've got several areas where you can start. Potentially start with Elevate Your Practice before you do the academy, unless you have more time, then you can just dive right into the academy. Okay. Perfect. Great questions. Thank you. All right. So library launch coming, great new space, search functionality. You guys are going to love it. All of the new content drops are going to be happening there. We're just busy now uploading the content. So essentially it's our team, right? I'm the librarian and we have our team like taking all of the content from one place and we're putting it into the new place. The new place is all ready and it looks amazing. We'll do a little show and tell coming up soon. We also are hosting a Fill Your Funnel Mastermind. It is not full. We do have, I think, about 10 spots left. If you are attending today's dietitian symposium in Salt Lake City in May, on that Sunday, we are hosting a pre-symposium mastermind. It is completely free. We are paying for it for anybody who wants to show up. It is a 3-hour like a true mastermind group where we're coming together as a group and we're really going to get stuff done. And that mastermind is going to be followed up with 3 additional live meetings, right? Like mastermind groups. So it's really going to be like a 4-month project. We are investigating offering this kind of support to our community. If you guys, just in general, like even if you can't make the Today's Dietitian Mastermind, is mastermind group concept something that's appealing to you? Just type in mastermind. If we offered like a virtual mastermind where you didn't have to come in person, would that be interesting to you? Now, a mastermind is more than a training because it requires some level of commitment of time on your part, right? You come to a mastermind to learn principles, and then the group with the leaders support you with implementing that content. Is that something that would be appealing to you? Yes, it sounds like it is. Daryl is asking a question. Any update on the cooking classes and what the updates are going to be? Are you talking about chefs, Daryl? Because I can give you an update on that. Daryl, are you talking about chefs? Daryl is asking, let me just open up the comments here. Okay, I just brought up your comment here. Daryl, are you talking about chefs? Because if you are, we are currently revamping the chefs program. We launched a culinary nutrition program, 2 versions of it, actually, a conventional version and a plant-based version. And it was a lot. It's a very, very long program. And the feedback was it needs to be a little bit tighter. We need to shore it up. And that's what we're doing now. The new chefs programs will be ready, I'm going to say the beginning of June. But you still have access to the chefs program if you are a member. Okay. I see. Mastermind. Carmen is saying, yes, but would it work for health coaches too? Absolutely, Carmen. Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, we are, whether it's prescriptive content or non-prescriptive content, if you are operating inside of your scope of practice, using the process of using the content is exactly the same, right? You just need to operate inside your scope of practice. So perfect. Okay, Daryl, so I did answer the question about chefs. We're definitely going to be reissuing that. You will have long-term access to chefs, Daryl, so don't worry about that, but we are going to be tightening it up a bit. All right, terrific. And then lastly here, I just want to note, every time I have a guest on the podcast, it just brings me so much joy because they share so many really great nuggets that we can all learn from. This week, just this morning, we published a podcast with Wintana Quiros, who has been a Living Plate RX member. I think she was like member 1, or no, actually, I think she was like member 3. She was definitely definitely the first 5 people who signed up with Living Plate. I met her when I was working as part of a collaborative effort to bring meal plans, like dietitian curated meal plans to our community. I met her at Fancy. And we just really connected and shared a passion for building something like Living Plate RX. And she has just been a guiding light in all areas of the development of tools that we create for you. And so I encourage you to listen to that podcast episode. It really is about Wintana taking her previous life experience as a model and a stylist and bringing it into nutrition care. So really cool to listen to, and just a really good lesson for all of us that for many of us, we came into dietetics as either a second career or later. It takes a long time to become a dietitian. So by the time you become a dietitian, you have some experiences that you can bring to that. But even if you become a dietitian or a healthcare professional, like right out of college, you're definitely bringing life experience. So whether it's your culture or something that you've done before that you're going to be bringing into your practice. And I think that Wintana just does it in such a beautiful, graceful way. And I want you to listen to that. So if you can go to, Hillary, if you want to drop that link here, that would be really lovely, to the latest podcast with Wintana. It's called Practice with Style. You like that? Came up with that all by myself, not even AI. Practice with Style with Wintana Quiros. She's just really a great human. And I want you to hear all about her practice and how she uses Living Plate RX to build just really cool interventions. All right, we are done for today. Thank you so much for joining me, everyone. I hope that you got some value out of today's Q&A office hour session. I'm going to be back in 2 weeks. So I will continue to collect questions inside of the Facebook group. Oh, I also want to note for you all still on with me, inside of the meal plan. Let me just go inside of the meal planner real quick. Okay, perfect. So inside of your meal planner, you'll see this bubble has always existed, but it does look a little bit different now. See, there's Hillary, there's Jen, there's Chris. They're all three are online now and can help you with answering your questions and giving you all kinds of support. If I'm online, my little bubble will show up there. But this is our effort to really up our customer service game. It is software called Intercom, and it is now installed in the meal planner, but it will also become a strong part of our new platform. We will be able to drop in tutorials here for you, video tutorials, articles, links to different resources. So if you have a question, always reach us in the private Facebook group. But if you have a question that you'd want to ask specific to the meal plans or the library, you can also ask it here by sending us a message. That's how you're going to get the most efficient response is if you go to Intercom, because Hillary and Jen and Chris are in there all the time. Oh, Hillary, thank you so much for dropping in that link. So you can listen to my interview with Wintana. And also let me know, like, if there is a guest that you want to hear on the podcast or any kind of principle or topic that you want me to explore, let me know. You can drop that note in Intercom too, and we'll consider that. Thank you everyone so much for joining me. Love seeing you every other week, and I will see you at the end of April. Take care.